Hi guys, this is Adrian here, and I'm going to make this video to show you what colors I used, what paints I used to paint the flux capacitor I designed. So first of all, I want to tell you that I'm not a professional painter, so I just do things because I think they look right, or that they're just, in my opinion, they just look like what I've seen. So please don't pinpoint me to pin me to certain colors, because at the end it only matters what colors or paints you like, because it's your model and you should be happy with it. So whatever works for you, you just use that. So when you get the printed parts, they all look clear, just like this. I have a piece of clear material in front of me. This is what you're going to get. This is very nice material because it permits light to go through it, and that's what you want, because you want some clear parts where the light will go through to remain clear. I'm going to do another video on the material and the treatment it needs when you get it at home. It's actually really simple. You just wash it with soap, but I'm going to tell you more about that in a later video. I just want to show you what I use to paint it at this moment, so that you can purchase the colors if you want to. So let's start by when you get it and you have the printed parts, and after you've cleaned them, then you can prime them, and I use Tamiya Primer Gray in a can. It's quite easy. I just take a box. This is like a shoe box I'm using. I just put a piece of paper in it, and well, yeah, put the parts in it like this, and then you just spray from above. Things to keep in mind when using this is that you do it in a ventilated area or outside your house, and then spray from a distance of 25 centimeters, being like this, and then you should get a nice result. Do just one side at a time. Do not try to touch it while painting it, because it will get messy. So just do one layer, then wait for 30 minutes to dry, and then you turn it the other side around, and then you spray it again. And I think you might need, for priming, one or two layer. You can pick the part and hold it against the light, and you can if you can see through it, then you're not at it. It must be like light shouldn't come through it at the end. So I think that's all about priming. So that's fairly easy doing with Tamiya Primer Surface. I have a large can. They sell it also in medium cans, I think. So that's all for priming. For the base color of the enclosure, the Stalin enclosure, I used sky gray, but as I said before, just use what color you think it fits best, or it's so that it looks like the real the real thing. I believe the paints they used in the movie, it was or the color of the enclosure, the real one was Battleship Gray. I've searched the whole internet, but I couldn't find an equivalent for that, so I'm going to use sky gray. One thing to keep in mind when using this color is the fact that when you put it on, it looks like a very light gray. And when you have the rubber in place, like in this picture, it will darken a little, so it plays a little trick with your eyes. So yeah, you can darken it by putting a little bit of dark in it, but it doesn't have to. So I just sprayed it like this, and that's it. I'll explain the spraying process later. That's for the enclosure. That's the color I used. Then for the backboard, I used black gray, and I used this black gray from Vallejo. They have it in two options. I used the Air version, which you can see here, This is a little bit of thinner in it. It's much thinner than this one. It's a little bit thicker. They're both the same color. This one you apply with a brush, the other one you apply with an airbrush. It doesn't matter, if you do it right with a brush, it will look very good. It will look just like you did it with the airbrush, but you just take your time and do it carefully. I would advise you not to take flat black and do the backboard in flat black, because that will be too dark and it will absorb all the light. So what you're looking here is to have like a very, very dark gray that will look like dark, but will not absorb all the light, and able to still be able to see a lot of the details, and that's what you're after here. Okay, the clasps were designed to paint separately, and yes, I think I was successful to do that. I'll try to take one out now. I'm doing it with one hand, so that could be difficult. I'll take the cover out and then I'll take one out. So you can paint these individually, and I used metallic color to do it. In this case it's this one from Vallejo, still color, but I think everything that's metallic and it's not chromed, or it has a little glow in it, will look very good. So so I painted just the clasp side on the cover and the clasp itself here, and you paint these separately because you want to have that color difference too. You don't want the clasp to have the same color as the rest of the enclosure. If you're asking why they don't stay in place, that's because I haven't glued them permanently here. I did a small modification to this box. I added the 2 pins here that are also on the bulkhead because I didn't want to compromise my design. So the 2 pins on the bulkhead need to be cut off with a knife like this. I will explain it also in a video later how to do that when I get the other box. So I'm going to do the box again, but I don't want to do the internals again. So I'll just take them out and the clasp and put it in the new box after I painted them. This was just a proof of concept to see, like, does my design work, what needs to be adjusted, and how can it be painted like this. For the Tor relays I used gold leaf Tamiya X12 gold leaf, and I think they came out very, very nice. I'm using an airbrush also with those clamps to just hold the tiny parts and rotate them while I airbrush them to get the best finish. If you don't have an airbrush, that's also not a problem. You can apply the paint directly to the parts after you prime them. But I think those clamps are really handy because you can hold one with one hand and then turn it around and then paint it on all sides, and that would make your life just a lot easier. So I would advise, these are really cheap. You can find them on eBay or at your local hobby shop. So use this and your life will be easier. For those wires I used flat yellow, and as you see it, they came out really nice. Flat yellow Tamiya XF3. I like this color because being a real wire in the real flux capacitor, it's not shiny, so I thought the flat color would look bright, and it does. So I think that was successful, so please use that if you want to. And for the knees, that's also an important part. I think it's important that to know that sometimes the color of some the parts you see, it's just the color of the material itself. So those knees were rubberized knees. The red orange color that you see, it's actually the color of the material. It's not painted. So you must find an equivalent for the color of the rubber. So how to do that? What I did is look at the pictures, and I thought it was reddish but also orangish, so I thought this should do the job. But you can use whatever you want. This is again Vallejo orange red. It's in between. I think it's very good. It's a very good color that fits the flux capacitor. So but what I say, you use whatever you want. Then I have this is, I'll just show it to you. It's just thinner. When you're using an airbrush, I was looking at it on the Tamiya website. You can also airbrush all these paints. They say you put 1/3 thinner, just that would be 1 drop of thinner and 2 drops of paint in your airbrush, and then you can start airbrush it. Then it will be thin enough. As it is like now, it's made to be brushed onto the surface. Well, then there's the story of the two versions. The one that uses the real rubber piece. It's an H profile you could buy. It won't zoom, but okay, it's an H profile that you can buy in the US. I'm going to put the link in the description of the flux capacitor. If you don't want to use this, because it's really the cost of procuring it is really high. It costs $6 on a meter. That's really cheap, but the shipping cost to me it was like $16, making it $22. Well, yeah, I'm crazy enough to pay that price, but I think for most people who would like to keep the total cost low, you can find something else, and they will choose for this version that also has the rubber band printed already on the surface. So it's printed on the outside, not the inside, just to allow you to put a clear piece of plastic, a transparent piece of plastic there to simulate the glass. Well, I'm going to paint it too, and I will show it to you when the rubber band is painted. And what I will advise you to use is this one, XF85 Tamiya black rubber. So it will, this is really nice paint. I used it before. I also used it on the pedals of the DeLorean car, and it really looks very nice. It has that rubbery feel, so it will look and feel like rubber when you, it's great. I love this Tamiya paint, so it's really a pleasure to do it. Take your time. Remember, it's not just take your time. It's not a matter of doing it very quick. It's a matter of doing it patiently. When you put a layer, then wait 30 minutes to dry completely. Then you put another layer. Put the layers really thin. Don't apply too much paint in one layer. Just be patient with it, and you'll get a very nice result with just, that's very easy to achieve. And last but not least, I'm using Humbrol acrylic varnish that really dries in minutes. What says here is really correct. To spray it again from a distance of 20-25 centimeter on top of the surface. In this case, I used the gloss version. This is not entirely correct because the box, it's really like satin gloss. It's half gloss, half flat. It's something like that. You can see that mine shines a little bit too much when it's in hand, but I don't care too much about it. You can use the correct one, being the satin gloss. I like this Humbrol varnish. It's really good stuff. As you can see, it has a really nice finish. It protects the paint underneath it, and it's really quickly dry. So this you can use for the enclosure. And there's also a part that you don't need to put any varnish on it. Because you'll have to protect those clear parts. I said it before, and I will say it again in a new video. Well, yeah, this is just what I wanted you to know when you are purchasing the paints for the flux capacitor. Well, see you again soon in a new video. Bye.